I'm sure he would go on your channel. Um, I'm not going to say his name yet, but he's coming on, and he is a survivor of SRA. People
SRA.
won't. Yeah, so I don't know if I can say it on your podcast because, or sorry, on your channel because I don't want it. YouTube doesn't really favor it, but it's like it would be like satanic ritual, and then the A would be like, I'll just say it, abuse. And he was a victim of it from a young kid, and he's got a Facebook, and he's quite big on Facebook, but he's got a
Wow.
story to tell, man, a story to tell. And I think he's like roughly the roundabout. He's 27 actually. He's 27. He's a young lad, and I watched this whole documentary on Facebook, and it was gripping. And I was like, I have to get this guy on. So I made contact. He said, yeah, sure. We were supposed to film it the other day, but he couldn't because he got sick. And then we're going to film it on Tuesday. And his mate, it sort of aligns with what Alex Kearney's talking about.
Yeah.
About the systematic abuse, and a lot of sort of normal people don't realize. But I'm going to whack that up on the Facebook and my personal Facebook too, because I think a lot of people. It's going to go on my Rumble and my YouTube. The censored version is going to go on YouTube, but the uncensored full raw version is going to go on Rumble. And this guy's got a story to tell. Like,
I mean, I've got some news for the new year. Actually, I'll speak to you behind the scenes on that. When you're feeling a little bit better, give us a call, and I've got a little bit of good news myself to give to you. As regards to both of us. But it's just where I want to take my channel, over the next 12 months. Big up Eyes Love to Talk. Freedom for the People, True Lies. I've planned out the next 12 months for my channel as regard content-wise. And I'm really looking forward to that. And the couple of guests that I've got lined up, again, I want you to come on and co-host with me over the next over the next 2 months through January and February. I've got some crazy guests coming on, mate. Crazy. Oh man, one guest, fucking hell, crazy to fuck he is. But crazy for the good reasons.
Yeah, man. Listen, that's what it's about. See next year. I don't know if you know a channel called Soft White Underbelly. Do you know it?
No, I've never come across that one.
Well, it's a big channel, right? I'm going to take a bit of an approach like that, where I'm going to take myself away from the screen, because I think too much of what I do is I put too much input into my podcast, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take myself away from the screen and just have them on the screen. I'm going to film 2 separate audios, 2 separate videos, but just put them in the screen with both my audio and his audio. And it's just going to be him or her, the guest. And that's sort of the direction that I'm going in. And if I do need to have a bit of input, I'll just flash myself up onto the screen for like a couple of seconds. But other than that, I think that's the direction. He does that, Soft White Underbelly, and he's quite successful doing that. So that's the direction I want to take my channel, sort of interviewing unknown people.
Yeah.
It's okay getting involved with like getting Dave Courtney or fucking a Paddy Conroy, a Brian Cockrell on, but to actually bring on an unknown person, maybe just from the street, and doing a podcast with them and not getting thousands of views. That means more to me than just getting the sort of the generic people on the channel just to get the views, because it's not really about the views anymore. It's about the good quality content, and I think that's what I'm going to sort of focus on next year.
I've got one person coming on next year that's original, and he's never ever done a podcast ever. So I think that's the sort of lines that you're talking about there, and I'll be the first ever one to bring him to the table of a podcast as involving interview wise, and that I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, man, that's what it's about.
Also in the new year, I want to do it so when I interview my guests, that when they talk, the camera will be on them, and then when I talk, the camera will be on me.
Yeah, Zoom. You could do that
Yeah,
with Zoom. Right. So if you want to do it on StreamYard, so there's a new feature in StreamYard. You can download two separate video files, one for you and one for your guest, two separate audio files. But what you'll need is you'll need to have a subscription to DaVinci Plus or one of those sort of editing softwares. Put them on your PC or laptop, preferably PC, and put your two video files and audio files, or no, one set. No, yeah, no, one. No, you can put two audio. No, you just need one audio, and you'll have to watch the whole thing and edit it accordingly. So whenever you speak, you're on the screen. But if you want to be lazy about it, use Zoom. Zoom does that for you. Like it'll have you on the screen and then them on the screen. Its AI system sort of picks up your voice. So I'm just taking myself away completely because it's not about me. It'll be about me if I go on your channel. It'll be about me if somebody asks me to come on their channel. But if I'm interviewing somebody, it's not about me. And I don't want to be seen. At the end of the day, who the fuck wants to listen to me? I've heard enough of me this year. Plumbing the cap. Do you know what I mean?
And the other thing I want to bring to the table next year for my channel is, instead of doing it over like StreamYard, actually doing a podcast in person. It means I've got to invest and get a couple of bits of items like camera and whatnot, but that's where I want to push my channel in the near future. But starting from next year, that's what I want to do. At least get one or two people on that I can interview in person.
Yeah,
just
man, 100%, 100%. We'll do it. I'll fly over. I'll fly over, and we'll do something like that just to test out the waters and stuff. And we'll do some mad shit like that.
Ronnie, can you hold the fort for a minute? I'm just going to go and have a quick fag.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'll just be 2 minutes.
Yeah, work away. So who's in the chat? Kelly, hope you're well. Paul the Hat. Paul says that's it, Ronan. This YouTube big man shit isn't the reality I live. Yeah, 100%, Paul. People don't realize, Paul, right? So what people have to realize is that if anybody's on YouTube talking that they're going to do something, they're not actually going to do anything, because that's evidence. If you are on here saying, I'm going to do this to people, I'm going to do that to people, well, you've just basically went into a police station and said, look, I'm going to do this to somebody, because there's video evidence. Even if it's deleted, somebody's clipped it, somebody's done something. So, for instance, if somebody threatens me on YouTube, I don't reply, because if I reply, then the police have a correspondence between me and another person. So if anything happens, I'm liable. Do you know what I mean? If somebody says, well, I'm going to, and they actually do show up, and then an accident happens, and they end up getting hurt, then there's correspondence, there's evidence that I've even talked to that person. So people need to realize that all these people saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, nobody's going to do jack shit. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's going to do anything. Let me see. Tony Macaroni. We had a family here that ran out a pedo. Sorry, a pedo 6 weeks later. They ran him out themselves, was dealing drugs. And yeah, man, people don't realize Darren G has a bit of a point, right? See, most of these dealers and stuff, they actually are all, not all of them actually, but a majority of them are all roots, like, they all try to control kids into doing their own thing. Let me see. Thank you, Kelly. Big up Ronan and Steve. Big up Kelly. Paul the Hat. Big thank you, Paul. Oh, there's Hot Girls. Jesus Christ. Somebody get that off. That's one of those bots. They're going to spam now. Can anybody say anything? I've been guilty in comments, but you've got to be smart. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And see all these people saying positive content. Nobody wants to see positive content. We all want to see dramatic content. I would just need to stay away from bacons. That's it. See, once the bacon alarm goes off, stay away from them. Even if it's a small bacon alarm. If you haven't met them, don't back anybody unless you really do know them. Because if you don't and you back somebody on here, especially this side of YouTube, turn out to be a bacon, and then you're fucked, and that's your reputation down the line.
Right, I'm back now, bro. How are you fixed next week? Towards Thursday or Friday, possibly. Are you free?
When's Christmas, mate?
Oh fuck! It's Saturday, isn't it? Oh, you have to be
I might be able to. I might be able to do something Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday. Yeah, I just thought just to do a Christmas special, and then we can get back to it again after Christmas into the new year, can't we?
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, of course. I was supposed to shoot a Christmas special. You were going to be there. Video Craig, Jude was going to be on it, and there's a few other guys that were going. Anybody that wanted to come on, that could have come on, and I couldn't shoot it because I got sick. So I'm going to message Video Craig, see if he wants to do it. I know he's quite flexible, like. So
and Steve Rafe. Get Steve Rafe on as well.
Yes, Steve's more welcome to jump on if you want. Anybody can jump on. Anybody can jump on.
Just do one Christmas special, and then we can start afresh in the new year, can't we? With our usual content. I've been missing it.
Speaking on Steve Wraith. Sorry to interrupt you there, mate, but speaking on Steve Wraith, people don't realise, right? I see all that beef between Paddy and Steve. I stay out. That's fucking none of my business. But Steve Wraith, way at the beginning of last year, before last Christmas, he came onto my channel and gave me a podcast whenever I had like 100 subs. Do you know what I mean? So he's never asked me to do anything. He's never said do this for me, do that for me, put this out for me. He's just came on a podcast with me, and he was sound as a pound. Like, so I stay away. See all that Paddy, Conroy and Steve Wraith stuff, I stay away from it. Like, it's mad shit.
So I wanted to get Steve on actually to do a proper podcast with him, because he's got a story, about his life. I don't want to, if I was to manage to get Steve on, I want to hear his story, how he became, to write books, and his door work, and just generally about his life, outside of YouTube. Because I don't think anybody's actually sat and done that. And I think he's got a very good story to tell.
So me and Paul Ellis done that with him. But you could bring a different aspect to it, because there's a lot of stuff because he's done so much in his life, there's a lot of stuff people forget about. Do you know what I mean? A lot of stuff people haven't heard. People don't realise Steve I don't think he could read or write as a kid. And now he's grown up to be an author, a book publisher, and that's a tremendous achievement. For I'm dyslexic myself. I had to teach him. I taught myself how to read and write. I taught myself all those things. So for somebody to actually make something of themselves that struggled with those aspects as a kid, you have to commend that person and say fucking fair play, like, for trying, and actually, essentially, he's one of the big dogs in the book world, like, and on YouTube. So fair play, like.
And I mean, I try to be different to everyone else in the respect of, interviewing people, something new to me. I can only grow with experience. The more guests I can get on, the more experience I'll become. But I'll take Brian Cockerell, for instance. I mean, that guy's got so many stories and tales about his life, and taxing drug dealers and stuff. But I didn't really want to touch on that sort of glory stuff of his heydays. I wanted to see the reformed character, how he reformed himself, and how he managed to turn his life around. A lot of people wanted the nitty gritty stuff, as in his heydays, but I wanted to bring something different to the table as regards to Brian Cockerell. Between me in that interview, it was all about the reformed character, if you know what I mean. A lot of people interviewed him, to get them glory details, but for
Steve,
me, I wanted to know about the reformed side of Brian. Um, as regards to other guests, that's how I'm going to approach.
Steve. So I spoke to a guy, right, and I asked him to come on, and he was going to come on, right, and he was reformed, and he's a serious bloke, right? He's a serious bloke. Nobody knows him, on YouTube or anything, but he's a serious bloke. He's done a lot of time here, in Ireland and in Scotland too, and he's a type of fella you wouldn't fuck with, even regardless reformed or not, right? But he's a gentleman, and if you treat him with respect, he'll treat you with respect. And I asked him, and I says, look, mate, you get all these boys coming on talking about being reformed. Tell me, what's the full definition of reformed? And he says to me, is whenever you don't be greedy and you let go of your ego. He says, when I'm taking in 50K a week, and then I go down and I have to drop that, and I have to go on the dole, and I have to get a job paying £350 a week. You tell me, could you do that? If you were making 50K a week and you had to go down to £350 a week, could you do that? And I goes, fuck, I don't know, mate. He goes, exactly. Now, if you're willing to accept that £350 a week and start from the bottom up again, then you're now a reformed character. Otherwise, you're not reformed. You're just going to look at a different way, different avenue of criminality to make that 50K a week again. And unfortunately, whenever we were going to do the podcast, I rang him and I says, look, mate, do you want to come on to talk about your life? He says to me, I can't, Ronan. I says, why? He goes, because I'm not reformed anymore. And I never heard from him again.
See, that's the exciting part of these characters' lives, that, some people fail to, want to, put into a podcast. But, this is something that is close to my channel, what I represent with my channel. And, the reformed character are people to go like from say 50K to £350 a week. I mean, there's quite a few characters out there, that have reformed in that respect, and they're plodding along in their life, but it's the struggle to go from 50K to £350 a month. That's what I want to get out there, to the questions asked to these people I'll be getting on, because it's that side of the reformedness, that I want to approach from, as opposed to, like I say, with all the glory details. Everybody's done interviews on characters like that, haven't they? And to show their reform side, I don't think there's many channels out there that approach from that angle.
Well, Sean Atwood does to a certain degree. Sean Atwood gets all he will get people on that are reformed. He talks about reformed. He actually gets guys that don't have a platform. Like, people don't like him. I'm going to be unbiased here. Take away the whole DECA situation, but living in London, for instance, right? Sure, he got the likes of living in London on. People like that have came out of jail. They've got fuck all. They don't have a pot to piss in, and he sort of gives them a platform. On YouTube, and then they build their own platform, and then they sort of try to make something of themselves. That's type of a reformed. Like, people don't realize the easy. I found myself. I'm years ago, before I had my son, where I had nothing, and I was really tempted to do shit, to make a few pound, and it was really tempting. And all the boys were saying, like, you're going to make a few pound. But I was always afraid of being addicted to the money.
Yeah.
So I stayed away from it because I didn't want to get that type of money in. Now, I'm in a stage of my life where I'm making money, but legally. And I think if I had took that other road, I would have been getting it illegally, but there would have been a lot of hassle in my life, because I'm seeing a lot of the boys now that wanted me to start the game, to get into that world, and they're all fucked. Like, there's one guy who's went missing, and we think he's dead just recently over the past couple of days. And he's gone. He's missing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he was one of the players. He's a big player. where I'm from, and he's just gone, and he's probably took a load of drugs and possibly lying in a ditch because it's freezing over here, and he probably just died of hypothermia. So this is what happens. Do you know what I mean? This is the reality. You can make 50k a week easy. I can make 50k a week right now, easy. It's not that hard to do. But to what cost? Do you know what I mean? My son gets targeted. I get raided. I know a guy. I'm not going to mention his name. He lives a quarter of a mile away from me. He gets raided every month. How's that a life to live? Okay, he might be making so much, but sure, how the fuck? Why would you want to live like that? The cops busting him. He'll get raided Christmas and Christmas Day. The cops to piss him off, and his kids will be opening their presents, and the cops will be going through his front door. So, fuck that. Like, I'd rather have a fiver and be clean than have 500,000 and be dirty.
Amen to that. There's a question here from Working Class Patriot, but I don't quite understand what he means. Should victims of grooming gangs get reparations from the government?
Right, so there's a good way to answer that, if you mind me answering that. So reparations, getting some type of compensation of what they've went through. So I think in some cases, yes. Now, a lot of cases, yes, actually. Now, you should get reparations from the government if there is a police failing to acknowledge that you were a victim. So if you were a victim of a grooming gang, and you've been groomed, and there's been many sort of reports to the cops, and the cops didn't take notice of it, or there wasn't proper investigations, you should be given some compensation to say, look, we apologize, we're sorry, this shouldn't have happened to you, and we'll do a better job next time, but here's some compensation to sort of, we know it's not going to fix you, but at least you might be able to start a life, go to college, buy a house, buy a car, do something with your life. And I do maybe 90, actually, do you know what? Who am I to say 100% of them should get some type of reparation?
I agree with you, considering the failings of the police forces and the social services and doctors. I mean, because of the failings and they haven't given that support to bring the perpetrators to justice. I am a strong believer, yes, that government should do a lot more. Whether it's monetarized or whether it's in another form, the government should help these victims. Yes, 100%. It's never going to make up for their failings. It's never going to make up their life easier. But they should do that.
This is where it comes into now, Steve. Where there's money, there's corruption. So, what's to say that you'll have people out there, gangs of people grooming kids to make up that they were groomed. So yes, they were groomed to make up that they were groomed. So then they go in for compensation, and then maybe forced sort of illegal taxation on them. Like just like you would make somebody pay money for selling drugs over here. A lot of the paramilitaries would take a tax off you for selling drugs. Then you might get people exploiting young people to make up things. So then they would extract money from the government. It would just be another form of criminality. But I would definitely, a way to counteract that would be, is if you have two or more police sort of investigations into one person, and then later down the line you find out that this person actually is the victim of some serious abuse, then you should get compensation. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't just be somebody coming off the street going, here, this happened to me, can I get some money? Do you know what I mean? It can't be like that.
There's obviously got to be things put in place to stop that, to counter-react them sort of claims. But yeah, because of the failings of the system, and the police from the top to all these organisations that are there to help people, they should be compensated in one way, shape or form, definitely. But again, there have to be things put in place, so that it ain't handed out willy-nilly.
I'll tell you what, man, and I want to say it, I'm not going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it, I have to be passionate about this, and I can't speak on the friend that I'm speaking about, but the Catholic Church and the Church of England and the Church of Ireland, all of them need to be investigated, because some of the shit and some of the things that I'm hearing from people in my area that don't want to come forward, from Dublin, Cork, Donegal, Derry, Sligo, Limerick. I'm speaking to all these people, Steve, and it's not just the Catholic Church. We talk about the grooming gangs, the Islamic grooming gangs. Steve, there's big issues here, mate, in the Protestant and Catholic Church. Now, people don't realise this about the Protestant Church. It goes on. I've heard of a few stories in the Republic of Ireland in regards to this. So everybody says the Catholic priests, they're not allowed to marry. They're fucking weirdos, right? Which is true. I disagree. I think everybody should be allowed to marry. It doesn't matter who you are, right? Well, of age, obviously. But if you're a priest, you should be allowed to marry. But the Catholic Church has been highlighted. There's a lot of stories to do with the Church of England and the Church of Ireland, the Protestant Church, that's been covered up, and they're intertwined with the Catholic Church, and people don't realise that. So another thing next year I'll be looking into is that, and I'm going to not coax a few people to come on, but I'm going to see if I can get a few people to come on that don't want to show their identities. They can do it like this. But mate, it's big, mate. There's a lot of stuff that's went on in Ireland and England, and a lot of these kids they're all like 50, 60 years of age now, and they're tormented, mate. A lot of them have committed suicide because of it. And the priests, it was all covered up by the Vatican. It was all covered up by the Vatican and all paid off, and it didn't even go to court. It went to the sort of a Vatican court where a solicitor was brought in, and a defense solicitor, a defense attorney, and a sort of a prosecution was brought in, and they all done it behind the scenes, away from the government, and they paid off these victims, these survivors, and this isn't talked about, and they're just sweeping under the carpet, and under the impression that these priests would be discarded from the Vatican, and they weren't. They were just relocated to different countries. Argentina. I know of 2 priests from Ireland that are in Argentina right now that are prolific pedophiles, and they're in Argentina.
Wow. Maybe this is something we need to cover this in the new year, I think.
Well, the consul come over to me, like Da Vinci Code, that guy from the Da Vinci whipping his back. He'll come over and he'll do me in. To fuck him. At the end of the day, right? A lot of see the Catholic Church, see the Vatican. Listen, this takes away your belief in God, right? Believe in God, that's fine. Be a Catholic, be a Protestant, be a Muslim. Listen, I'm a Catholic, that's fine. I respect everybody's religion. This isn't about the Catholic religion. This isn't about the religion. But see those people involved in that, they're demonic, mate. And what they've done to those people over the years, they're fucked, because the public's waking up. Do you know what I mean? They're waking up.
I mean, it's happening everywhere, isn't it? I mean, but it's probably been going on for years, isn't it, within the churches and stuff. Didn't it spread across to the BBC as well once upon a time as well?
No, it's not. It's not so much. So you just talk about one entity, but what I'm linking up here is that the Church of England, the Church of Ireland, and the Catholic Church and the Vatican are not that they're in cahoots with each other, but there's networks of these people portraying that they're godly people, but they're actually child abusers. And I've connected the dots a few bits. There's a few people that I've spoke to that their stories have matched up, and a lot of these people were relocated to South America, to poor, impoverished areas, and Thailand, and poor, impoverished areas, and they're doing that shit over there, and the Catholic Church has just been getting away with it, and the Church of England, and the Church of Ireland.
Wow.
So, what's going on here then? Huh? What's going on here? So, people talk about DECA, people talk about this, people talk about that. Fuck DECA Higgy. Do you know what I mean? fuck that guy. There's people over all around the world suffering. And I'm not even just want to focus on. I want to focus on the poverty. I want to expose the charities. What do you call that? Trokery. Trokers receive billions, and not one person's been helped. It's all going up the nose of the CEOs. I'm in talks with people from Trokery. I spoke to one girl from Ireland. She worked for Trokery, and she says most of the money that gets sent in doesn't go to these places.
Wow.
But I get a gagging order on me for that, mate. You know what I mean? They put a gagging order on me for that. So this is next year. There's going to be a lot of exposing work done the right way. We'll try. Maybe I'll fuck it up. I don't know. But this is the reality.
I mean, this seems like I need to do some checking on all this, and maybe into the new year we can get a couple of podcasts going about all this, because to act as a man of God, and on the other hand they're abusing children. Wow, that's madness, man. Fucking dirty scum everywhere, isn't there?
There's only good and evil, and it comes from a good place, because I've got a friend that went through this, and I got a friend that went through this, so I'm gonna try my best to do it the right way and not do it the dramatic way. I'll try to do it the proper way, and I'll do it all on Rumble.
Aye.
Rumble. It's not for YouTube. YouTube, there's too much truth in it for YouTube. It has to go on Rumble.
Definitely, because they don't restrict on Rumble, do they?
No, mate, they don't. I can say whatever they want. I can actually see if anybody says anything or has a beef, just put your reply on Rumble, and you can say whatever you want. Can't do fuck all. They can't do you for defamation or anything.
Well, between now and Christmas, I'm going to open up a Rumble account, definitely. And there's another account I want to open up as well. So the stuff that I can't put on here on YouTube through censorship, I can put it across the same way that you're doing over on your Rumble.
I start your own, mate. You could do live streams, and I'll set up a custom RTMP. I think that's how you say it, RTMP. And because it doesn't have a sort of a set RTMP just for StreamYard, you have to set it up yourself. I'll set that up. I'll learn how to do it, and then we'll live stream. And mate, I'll live stream outside a chapel, like. You know what I mean? That's the type of cunt I am. In the middle of mass, if I find out information to do with a priest, I'll do a sting out during mass.
Take him down during prayer, the dirty fucking scumbag.
Yeah, and I know a lot of good priests, by the way. Listen, just to touch on that for people to realise, this isn't hating on priests. I know a lot of. I'm speaking though. I took my middle name. I'm not going to say my middle name. Off a priest, and he's a very good man. And he's a brilliant man. But it just so happens he had multiple women throughout his life. When he was a priest, he was a teacher, and we used to go into his house whenever I was in school. He just lived up the road from me, and his nephews used to come and stay, and we used to go in, and he used to be drinking beer, cursing at the TV. And I said, "Where are you heading to tonight, mate?" He was, "I'm meeting my friend," and it would be like a woman, a beautiful woman that he would take out for dinner, but he would never tell the priest this, his other mate. So we'd be out shagging women, and he was just a bit of crack, like he was just a laugh. But that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Why aren't these priests allowed to marry? What's the crack with that? Have wives and, but there's a lot of good priests. There's a lot of decent good that have done good for the community. And them people are overshadowed by the demonic evil entities that their sort of peers are.
Yeah. Ronan, I'm going to have to wrap this up because I've got to jump on out. I've just realised the bloody time.
Yeah, mate, same here.
But cheers for coming on, Ronan, and
no worries.
We get together and we get a Christmas special done, I think. Guys,
Yeah, yeah.
cheers for tuning in and listening. I've got
Peace.
to jump on out now. Peace out, guys.
Peace.